Hello and welcome, good evening, to another episode of Experience Points. I'm your host, Michael Winters, as always here with my good friend and colleague and life partner, Joe Edelsack.
Hello, everyone. How are you tonight?
Nobody can hear you, Joe. It's not like someone can respond to you asking that question.
I wish that people could.
Rhetorically, though,
yeah.
I hope everyone's having a really good night.
Well, now that they're listening to Experience Points,
they're probably having a great night.
Yeah, we know that.
Let our soothing voices take you into the world. And just so you know, tonight we're going to be playing this game called Dishonored. Now, I know I briefly mentioned that we might be playing Majora's Mask, but that didn't work out because, you see, we played Halo 4, and then we played Borderlands 2, and then I plugged in Majora's Mask, and it just didn't quite have the same effect. It just looked really bad, which makes me really sad to say because I love Majora's Mask. We probably will do it at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But just to, keep the high quality of the video going, we decided to go with Dishonored, which is what you're looking at on screen right now. And we're just going to kind of talk about things as we go through the intro here. I started a brand new game. So you guys are going to see the intro of the game. We're probably going to get through the first few levels or so. And I am going to try to do the completely stealth, I'm definitely going to kill people, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to try not to get caught as I look for people or as I stealth my way through this game. So, Joe, what are we going to be talking about tonight?
Yeah, we've got a lot of really interesting stuff here for you guys tonight. First and foremost, of course, like you said, we are playing Dishonored. And this game was just released just a few months ago, coming from Arcane Studios, and, of course, was developed by Arcane and published by Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda, which of course is an amazing publisher, although they have had their share of misses. A lot of people seem to get confused about Bethesda publishing and Bethesda developers, so just to make this clear, Bethesda has a publishing company that puts games out and markets them and distributes them to retailers, and then they also have a development house that actually creates video games. So where Skyrim was both developed and published by Bethesda Softworks, this game was developed by Arcane and then published by Bethesda. So Arcane actually did all the coding and the graphics and the actual creation of the game, whereas Bethesda supplied the marketing and the distribution of retailers. So just to clear that up, there was another game last year called Brink, which a lot of people were like, oh, it's another Bethesda game, but it actually was also developed by a different developer and published by Bethesda. So it's good to understand that difference there.
Yeah, just keep in mind that's the case with every game. So if you ever want to be sure of who is making your game, look for that.
Yeah, the developer and the publisher are two separate things.
Totally. Completely.
And it's important to understand. I'm sure most people who listen to this or who actually take the time to listen to this show understand the difference between a developer and a publisher. But if you don't, you do now.
Now you do.
Now you know.
Without any choice or saying.
And a big rainbow came across the screen. It was like, the more you know.
So beyond that, of course, the game that we're playing right now that Michael has so graciously volunteered to play for us tonight.
It's a big hassle. But...
And he is playing live, by the way. So just like we said in the last episode, we are playing this right now.
Yeah, if you listen closely, you can probably hear the clicks of my Xbox 360 controller.
And the clacks of my iPad home button.
Yeah.
So
clickety-clack. Oh, look at this gentleman. I'm probably going to skip a lot of these cutscenes and stuff just because let's get to the good stuff where I'm slicing people's throats.
Down to the nitty-gritty. So with that, we're also going to be talking about a few other things tonight. The main stuff being, after we've gone through Dishonored and talked about that sufficiently, we're going to move on to Cyberpunk 2077, which is a new game that's coming from the developers of the Stalker series, I believe.
No, The Witcher.
Right? Right, Witcher. Yes.
Stalker is a unit in StarCraft 2. You're a little confused, Joe.
It's also a game. Don't you remember that one? Stalker, Spirit of Chernobyl, or something like that?
I don't know what that is, Joe. I think you're making that up.
Look it up. You can prove me right.
Look at this creepy alien-looking dude. I wonder if he's a bad guy.
I think he's Sith. Isn't that...
Maybe.
I
He
think
looks
I
like
saw
Darth
him.
Maul, except
Yeah.
without makeup on.
So with that, we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. The developer is CD Projekt Red, and that's kind of their new IP that they're moving into after the Witcher series, and they've only ever done The Witcher, so this is going to be kind of a big step for them. So we'll be talking about that, and we'll post you a link to the trailer, which is a really sick trailer. It is rendered, so it doesn't actually show gameplay, but we'll get to that. Beyond that, we're going to be talking about all these new Nintendo games that are coming out.
Yeah,
What's up with
Nintendo
that?
had like a bonanza today. I'm sorry, I'm just going to turn on subtitles here so that we can... I don't know where this is. I'm going to turn on subtitles here so that you guys can read it if you feel like... oh, here we go. Subtitles. We'll just do all of it. Okay. All right. Yeah,
Sweet.
so Nintendo had like a bonanza today where they decided to announce a whole bunch of stuff, and they only showed gameplay footage from one of those games. We'll talk about it in a second because it is a lot of really, if you're a Nintendo fan, which I'm a huge Nintendo fan, it's really exciting. I mean, really cool stuff. Stuff we kind of knew was coming, but still really exciting.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. And I feel like if Reggie Fils-Aime is out there listening to
He
this
definitely
episode, yeah.
Reggie listens to the show.
Yes. So
His body is ready.
if you want to have some idea of the type of things that Reggie Fils-Aime likes, this is one of them.
Is that how you say his name? Reggie Fils-Aime?
I mean, that's just how I say it.
I have no
do you
idea.
have the-
I just always looked at that word and thought, you know what? I'm not even going to try to tackle that.
It's maybe, I don't even know what his nationality is. He's maybe, I don't know, French? I don't know what
I
that
have no
last
idea.
name is, but who knows? We'll actually, we might look that up.
Maybe.
I feel like if they have their own event, they might want to call it the Nintendo Bonanza.
Yes.
Just to kind of, you
Yes.
know, that's just an idea.
Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah, they just decided to do this all at once. So I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. What else are we
Yeah.
going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about, lastly, some big sell-offs in the game industry.
Oh
We
yeah,
have,
THQ. Poor THQ.
yeah, they've basically sold off all of their different games and
Joe,
IPs.
this lady's dying. You're just talking about this lady is dying in my hands.
in your arms. She actually looks relatively calm for
She does,
dying.
even though there's a big puddle of blood behind her.
Yeah.
I wonder if this looks a little bit better on the PC. Oh, don't care, drop her. Okay. Oh, I think I'm being arrested. Anyways, back to THQ. She's dead. It's all good. We can move on.
Perfect.
We can move on.
Yeah, so what they're going to be doing is, or what they have been doing right now, is basically selling off all of the games that they own the rights to. Anything from the new South Park game that's going to be coming out later this year, to what else do they have? Even games like Darksiders, which haven't yet
Metro
found a
Last
home.
Light.
Yep.
What was the Warhammer series?
Yeah. So
There's a couple other ones too. Oh, Saints Row.
right, so they're getting rid of basically everything. They have gone totally bankrupt. They have no money anymore. I guess now they do, now that they've sold off. But we'll be talking a little bit more about that and what that might mean for those series moving forward.
Yeah.
But for now, let's get into...
Yeah, let's look at Dishonored because that's
Dishonored.
really the fun part, and we're gonna actually start playing the game now. We're past like the whole like intro. You just got arrested for killing the Empress, even though you didn't kill the Empress series. So that's kind of the plot of the game. You're a guy, you're like an assassin dude, and you're the bodyguard of the Empress, and she gets killed. Obviously, you don't kill her, but then everybody runs up and they're like, "Hey, dude, she's dead. You're standing here. Where's all the ninjas that just killed her?" And yeah, so now I'm in prison, and I've definitely had a bad time here. And this gentleman in front of me I think he's going to try to brand me. Yeah, sure looks that way. Yep.
Oh, that's gruesome.
So that happened. You know, sometimes you get branded. It happens. It's all right.
Were you framed by gold cloaks or something?
I
What
was
happened?
framed by like I think like a religious zealot. This guy standing right in front of me is like a religious leader in the community. Even though he wears a gun across his chest, so figure that out. But you know,
What's their religion about?
I have no idea.
It's they don't
know.
have to...
They don't really explain it. It's like, I mean, maybe they do. There's a lot of like lore books in this game where you can read all this extra lore stuff, kind of like Skyrim. And when I first played through it, I kind of just wanted to like skulk around and kill people, so I didn't really read a lot of the lore. And since this universe is like, it's very much contained to this one city of Dunwall, and it just didn't really like pull me in. There's like whales involved and all sorts of crazy shit and magic, and all sorts of weird stuff. So you'll see as I go through it. It kind of takes weird turns, twists and turns.
It'd be interesting if the game was actually just kind of a portal to indoctrinate you into this religion.
Oh no, I'm totally a part of the religion now.
Nice.
if that was the point, then they succeeded because I am definitely. I don't know what it's about, but I'm in.
So based on just what we've seen so far, I mean, we know that obviously it's mainly a stealth game, and you're going around trying to be sneaky and kill people in sneakier ways. But how do you think it compares to some other stealth games that you've played?
Well, the first thing honestly, this was the game that kind of that got me into stealth gaming, because before this game I could never really wrap my head around stealth games and what the best way to kind of go about that was. But this game actually really did a good job of like pulling me into the environment. And even though it's got a lot in common with a lot of other stealth games, like I think it has a lot in common with Deus Ex and games like, I guess, Assassin's Creed, even though Assassin's Creed is like the laziest stealth game of all time, because there's not even a crouch button in that game, so figure that out. But it also has a lot in common with BioShock, weirdly. Like, the art style is very like BioShock, and like the way you pick up things is very much like BioShock. Like, I'm really excited to choke this guy out.
So that's even kind of the subject matter.
Oh yeah, like very like dystopian. Like there's a evil oppressive government like coming around and killing everybody or like rounding people up, and there's like a disease that is it's wreaked havoc on the city, and so the stealth part of it is really cool. And later on in the game, or as you go through, you actually are able to have like magic powers too. So I mean, just like BioShock, you can like shoot powers out of your hands, and there's like this really cool you think that's a good place to hide that guy? Probably not. So you can pick up bodies and move them. I'm going to move this guy behind the wall here so that nobody sees me, even though that guy probably totally could see me there.
I feel like in stealth games, I always like to take all of the bodies in a level and just pile them on top of each other.
Well, that's always the most fun.
Obviously, that's what it's for. What do you think they're there for, even?
I have no idea.
Just for piling. Or setting them up in, different outfits and stuff. Wait, what?
Can I sneak? Oh.
Wow. That dude is blind.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Well, he's dead.
That was pretty stealthy of you.
Yeah, it was. I chopped his neck. Oh, I think this gentleman sees me.
I feel like, though... Oh my God. Oh. Just removed his head.
Yeah,
that was pretty excellent.
All right.
Well, with that, I mean, did you think that this compares at all to the experience in BioShock?
It does. I think if you play the game as in like a combat way, because the thing about Dishonored is that the idea behind it is that like you can really play any way that you want. It's not an open world game per se, but each level is its own sandbox. So each level is kind of like an open field, and you can approach whatever mission you have in any way that you want. And each mission also has like non-lethal options. So the first mission that I'm going through right now actually isn't a great representation of the way that the game works, because in this first mission you have to kill people. And so, whoa, those guys are totally running. This mission, there's no like non-lethal option, but once you actually get into the game proper, there is an option to just not actually go through the entire game. You can go through the entire game. You can do it without killing anybody, and you can do it without being seen by anybody. Now, this first mission is the only one that doesn't count, so it's not a great representation of that, but it's unlike BioShock in that way, because obviously in BioShock, it's all about combat. There's no way that you can actually get through the game without killing anybody.
Right.
I don't think.
I don't think so. I'm sure somebody has tried to do it at some point.
Yeah, probably.
But with that, I mean, is there some sort of bonus that you get or something like that from actually playing through that way?
That's a really good question. There's actually two different... The last mission of the game actually changes pretty substantially. if you don't kill anybody.
Right.
So what they have is like a chaos level for each mission, and if you get a low chaos level, then you get a different mission in the game, a different ending mission.
That's pretty cool. So that, I feel like that sort of setup, as well as having the sort of individual missions that you could kind of go back and replay if you wanted to. Do you feel like that adds to the replayability?
Absolutely. You could. I haven't played through this game in like a completely, shoot everybody, run through the game, kill everything kind of way, because I honestly felt that kind of defeated the point of the game. But you totally can. And I think there's actually, there's like a skill tree in this game, just like there is in... That's a good game to compare to. I guess
like
kind of
BioShock
like BioShock has a skill tree. But BioShock has those like tonics,
right?
But this doesn't really have that. It's just kind of like as you progress through the game, you unlock different abilities, and those abilities, depending on which ones you choose, and you can't choose all of them, it really dictates the way that you're going to play the game.
I actually really like games that have sort of a more complex skill tree kind of setup. I really liked, honestly.
It's not super complex.
Right.
The skill tree's not.
I feel like games like Final Fantasy probably really embody that, like having just the most ridiculous
Final
skill
Fantasy
point
X.
systems.
Remember that giant grid of skills that you had to like navigate your way through? I think that was one of the things that made it hard for me to get through that game, is because like my like childhood brain could not wrap my head around about getting through that, about understanding that skill tree. If I could go back and play it, I think I'd be all right. But
it was really involved, though. You're absolutely right. It was almost like its own game in and of itself, like its own mini game, basically. But that's really cool. So with that, I mean, with the subject matter the way that it is, so you're trying to basically fight against this oppressive government, and you said there's kind of this disease going around that people are afraid of.
A lot of that stuff, I think, doesn't really... You don't really get all that story unless you read all the lore stuff, which I did not do. So even though...
He sensed.
I do not care. I will kill this man.
Oh. You can just... That's pretty intense. You can just sort of lop people's heads off as you go along.
Yeah, and if you like go through the game and upgrade the abilities that are specifically for... I totally should have stealthed this part because it's definitely made for that. But if you go through the game and you get the abilities that are kind of tuned for combat, all that stuff will be upgraded. So your sword that you carry in your right hand will be upgraded, and your gun, which you carry in your left hand, will be upgraded. And the gun is one... Oh, I just shot the gun. I think it alerted this gentleman here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, there's different skill trees. One's like definitely more stealth-oriented, and I died. One's definitely more stealth-oriented, and one's more combat-oriented. So as you go through the game, you can kind of tailor it to how you want to play. And then if you want to, you can go back and play each mission in a stealth way or in a super high chaos way and kill a lot of people. But, as we get into the actual game proper, I'm going to try to do stealth. But it's tough when I'm like talking and playing the game at the same time.
Well, I'll try to take some of the stress off of you with that. With that, I was also thinking, I mean, when looking at this game, there are some kind of similar things that come to mind as far as the subject matter with that sort of dystopian environment. Things like, Half-Life 2 sort of came to mind, and as well as, I think it was interesting to see, like, that starting in the jail cell concept, of like...
That's become somewhat of like, I don't want to say cliche, but every Elder Scrolls game obviously starts that way. And, there's been plenty of other games that start that way. So, I don't know, it's just become kind of an easy way to introduce players to the mechanics of the game and help them figure out exactly how everything works.
Now, I really like this game a lot, specifically for the subject matter, because I love the whole dystopian, theme, and basically anything like this I really enjoy. I mean, Half-Life 2 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Actually, not probably, it definitely is. And I feel like other games, too, have sort of embodied that, as well as just kind of other things that I really enjoy. Stuff like...
Blade Runner?
Right, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, Blade Runner and Fifth Element and things like that are kind of these weird futuristic dystopias.
Yeah, and this
well.
totally like capitalized on the whole like everybody loves steampunk all of a sudden thing.
Right.
Because this totally is steampunk. I'm blowing up this door, so I'm going to run away before the door actually explodes.
A good idea.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Nice.
And I still took health damage, so there's that.
It was an explosion. I'll give it that.
Okay.
Well, just to sort of wrap it up here on Dishonored, was there anything else you wanted to mention about this game while we're on the subject?
It's great. I played through the whole thing. I played it on low chaos, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it actually really helped me to understand what is so awesome about stealth games. Because before I played this game, I truly couldn't understand why people really like stealth games. I mean, I respected people's decision to like stealth games, but I just never could wrap my head around it. And this game just really opened my eyes to, if you can do it right, if you can actually play stealthy and sneak around and take people out like kind of one by one, it's really, really satisfying. I got a taste of it with Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, but this was really the game that turned me on to the whole thing.
Yeah, the full-blown experience.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that me being like me and Dishonored together have been able to bring you over to kind of the stealth gaming side. I hope you stick with that because I love stealth games. I've
after I played this, I played through the whole Assassin's Creed series, and I don't think I would have done that if I hadn't like had such a great experience with this game.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Well, we can move on to the next subject here. We're going to be talking about Cyberpunk.
Speaking of dystopia.
Oh, yes.
Which
is right. It's set just similar to this game in sort of a futuristic dystopia, except for it goes less for the steampunk and more for, like the title says, the cyberpunk theme. So that's going to center more around things like cybernetics and having people kind of affecting their bodies and DNA to sort of increase their abilities as humans and kind of become less human over time.
Now, do we know if that game is going to be an RPG, Cyberpunk?
Yeah, so the plans are that it's going to be as I understood it, an online role-playing game. I don't know if it's
an MMO?
massively. No, well, I do know that it is, I believe, going to be multiplayer, but I don't know kind of to what extent yet. There haven't been a lot of details that have come out on it.
I did not know that.
It definitely is open world, though. I mean, that we know for a fact, or at least that's what they've said so far, is that they are planning it on being open world, which I think is really cool. You know, there's a lot of leeway that you can have with the play styles and with different classes, and just kind of letting people loose in an environment is always fun.
I hope there's a Harrison Ford class that I can just play as Harrison Ford. I would buy the game just based on that. Those rats are totally just eating that person's dead body.
So do they like swarm you?
Yeah, they will swarm you. Wow. They will swarm you, so watch out. Yeah, eventually I think you can control them, but that wasn't one of the powers I picked when I first played through the game because I was stealth man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually forgot about that ability, but I remember seeing it in the trailers.
I can swim under
this must smell terrible
to avoid
in here.
this. I'm totally swimming in poop right now. Please don't worry about that.
Don't judge us. It's just part of the game.
Sometimes you just gotta swim in poop.
You know, take one for the team.
Sometimes it's how it goes.
Well, one thing that I think is really cool actually about the classes in Cyberpunk is that they're going to mimic the original pen and paper games.
Yeah, so talk to me about this because I'm not a big pen and paper RPG person.
Right. This was something that actually, it was sort of released, I believe, following D&D's popularity. But they wanted to kind of give it a futuristic spin, you know, whereas D&D is mainly fantasy, at least back when it was released in the 70s it was.
It's not fantasy now? Is it different now?
I guess, I mean, there's so many spin-offs at this point.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the D&D fanatic, so I'm not sure. But I'm sure there's other games that they've kind of taken in different directions. But this one, at least, its main objective was to kind of put you into this futuristic world. It takes place in the United States in this city I think it's called Night City. Like they just spell it out for you. You know, they don't want to have any question. Yeah, exactly.
It's nighttime
all the time, and it's also supposed to be sort of in the Silicon Valley area, I believe. Somewhere in California is the location of both the pen and paper game and kind of where they're placing it in the video game as well. And what I think is cool about it, there were a lot of these really interesting classes that could help each other out or work against each other as they saw fit. A lot of the classes centered around things like adding cybernetic, abilities to your body. So it takes place in the future where people are changing different traits about themselves. In the trailer, I won't kind of ruin the surprise, but you see that the female protagonist, I guess you could say, in the trailer has modified her body extensively. And as such, they have to have people who keep these what they call psychos, I guess, in check. So they have actually SWAT teams in the future that are designed to keep rogue, cybernetic people from actually, killing people madly. So you'll see in the trailer, which we'll link to in the video, oh wow, these rats are just going to town.
Yeah, I thought I could distract them with the corpses, but it's not going to happen.
I thought so too. Oh God, they just die in swaths.
I'm just going to stab them.
As the story goes, as people, modify their bodies more and more, they actually go insane. So people will go on these crazy rampages.
That's just like BioShock.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it.
Those rats just murdered me.
Oh man, that's
sometimes
intense.
Rats murder you.
They should have them like crawl on you after you die, like for added effect.
Yeah.
But what I think is cool about that is then, in the trailer, they bring in this guy who's a member of what they call the Psycho Squad, which is kind of a futuristic SWAT team who's specifically designed to take out cybernetic people. And they also have cybernetic changes to themselves, augmentations to their eyes, to their bodies, to certain strength abilities and things like that. So other classes that they'll have in the game are going to be things ranging from like doctors who can provide you with the modifications that you want.
And you can play as a doctor?
Yeah, absolutely. They have kind of weird names for all these classes, but that's basically what it is. So there's like a kind of a doctor class.
Did you actually like first hand play?
So yeah, I've never actually played the pen and paper game, but I'd really like to try it because I think it would be cool to try it out. I know that they've actually released, since the game came out, they've released new iterations of it, the most recent of which was in 2001. And what's funny about it is when the game originally came out, like in the 80s, that was actually what it was called, was like Cyberpunk 2001, which was...
That's funny.
The future back then.
Obviously, we didn't... Oh my gosh, these rats.
They just love you.
Do
you have like a pheromone or something?
They want to kiss me.
Yeah, they just want to give you
hug
love.
Me. I'm a rat. Oh my gosh.
I guess they like living flesh more than dead flesh.
I guess so. I have no idea.
But with Cyberpunk 2077, I think that just the idea of the game, the fact that this developer is actually trying to do something different than what they've been doing this whole time, which is the Witcher series,
which is totally fantasy.
Yeah, and the Witcher series is great, by the way. I mean, Michael could tell you a little bit more about that.
It's cool. It's like it's like one of those like super deep RPGs. I mean, that's kind of the whole idea behind it, is that it just has like immense depth to it, and I hope that carries over to the Cyberpunk series, because I think that's kind of the trademark of that developer. They've gotten really good at it with the Witcher series for sure.
Right, I think that probably will be how it ends up, because I feel like, I mean, even just the idea of like starting with a pen and paper game and working off of that, like stuff like that could be as in depth as you want it to be. I mean, people who play D&D, it's all math. You're
right.
Just doing it in your head. So, or I guess on your 20-sided die. But I think that the game is going to be really cool, and I really like the whole concept of it, just like I was talking about before. I love movies like Blade Runner and Fifth Element that sort of present these things in a dystopian, futuristic way, but also in a way that is kind of more believable. It doesn't have a lot of like magic and things like that. It's not high fantasy, so it's something
hard
that's feasible.
Sci-fi instead.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I really kind of like that idea, and I think that it has a huge amount of potential, so they just we'll have to see if they actually like take advantage of that. Did you have any thoughts on the trailer that you saw?
I mean, the team that does the trailers for what was the name of the developer?
CD Projekt Red.
Oh, right. CD Projekt Red. They are ridiculously awesome. I mean,
yes.
Really, really, really good. There was a couple CGI cutscenes in The Witcher 2 that were incredible, and this one was absolutely no different. It was really, really good from start to finish. It got me excited about a game that I had never heard of before, so I think that's the whole idea behind those trailers and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, if it's a good RPG and it's deep and it has a cool story, I mean, obviously I'll be in. It's just, the next question is, what is the combat like, you know?
Yeah, right. And, you know, since there haven't been too many details that have been released about the game yet, I guess they haven't talked about really any of the mechanics or anything like that. It'd be funny if they were like, if the combat became like, take out a pen and paper and start doing math problems.
Yes.
You know,
roll the dice.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, you know what's funny you say that, because there was a game that just came out for the Nintendo DS that was literally like a digital pen and paper game. Like you rolled dice in the game to find out whether you hit the enemy or not. And, you know, the guys from Penny Arcade absolutely ate it up and they thought it was the best thing ever. But there is absolutely a market for that. There's people who just, you know, kind of want to relive that whole pen and paper experience, which is cool. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I would totally play a game like that.
Oh, I got my crossbow.
Wow, that's awesome.
See, crossbow.
Are we going to get to check it out now?
In Dishonored, that's the key, because unlike the gun, obviously, it's a little bit more silent when you kill people. So now you've got an awesome sword and you've got an awesome crossbow. So between those two things, you're basically an awesome dude.
You're ready to own.
Yes. Very, very good.
So talking about games that are, you know, coming out in the future and games that we also basically know nothing about at this point.
Hey, you know, sometimes that's just how it goes until E3.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But there should be some announcements that are coming up in the future today. And we could talk about our Nintendo Bonanza that we were pretty thrilled about. Yeah.
Yes, I was extremely thrilled. Nintendo announced a bunch of new games today. So games we kind of knew were coming, but that we didn't have confirmation on yet. So Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U.
Yes.
I can't even wrap my head around how awesome that's going to be, because it's first Smash Brothers in HD. It's the first Smash Brothers that's going to actually, you know, have the next gen graphics that we've gotten so used to on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. And I just think it's going to be great. And I'm really excited to see like what new characters are they going to introduce, because, you know, last time they introduced Solid Snake was in there, Sonic was in there. Like, I hope those characters are still there, because I thought that was one of the coolest things is you could have Mario fight Sonic. You could have Mario fight Sonic. I mean, that's like, you know, a 90s kid dream come true. So
awesome stuff,
I'm really excited for Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. They also talked about a brand new 3D Mario adventure game. So, you know, the Wii U has new Super Mario Brothers Wii U, I guess it's, or new Super Mario Brothers U, but it does not have like a proper, you know, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Galaxy style game. And that they did say that was coming, and that we're going to see all these games at E3. And they're going to be in playable form, from what I understand. So that should be pretty exciting. They also talked about a new Mario Kart. I mean, these are kind of things like, okay, yeah, Nintendo's going to put out a Mario Kart game. Okay, in other news, the sky is blue. So,
right.
You know, it's cool. I'm definitely still excited for it. But I'm going to shoot this guy. Ready? Oh, he's so dead.
Nice.
He's so dead. I think I was supposed to drop assassinate him, but you know what? Who cares? He's dead anyways.
You're just breaking the game.
Yeah. Don't care.
Also, I know you mentioned, I mean, along with all the kind of Mario franchise stuff, so they are also doing all the Zelda franchise stuff too, right?
So they talked very briefly, about the next-gen Zelda and what they have planned for it. They said a couple of really interesting things. They showed no footage, and they showed no basically nothing about the game whatsoever, but they said a couple things that they wanted to leave behind in terms of their design philosophies for Zelda. And the first thing they said is they wanted to leave behind the idea of doing dungeons in a certain order, which is something that has been a landmark of the Zelda Zelda series for a very long time. I don't know if you guys saw that. That guy got hit with a crossbow and he went flying across the room,
like sideways.
Yeah. So doing dungeons in a certain order, which I think the first Zelda game you didn't have to do dungeons in a certain order.
Yeah, you could do like the 3 temples, right? You could do them in any order you want.
Right. So I think they're trying to get back to that little bit more free flowing idea of a Zelda game. But the second thing that they said, which really struck a chord with me, is they said they were going to leave behind the idea of Zelda being a completely single-player experience.
Wow.
Which is at once exciting and it also extremely nerve-wracking. Like, what are they going to do with that? I mean, are they going to add... That was awesome, by the way.
Was pretty
I threw
cool.
a bottle, and then that guy, he looked over there, and then I shot him in the back of the head. So that's why I play this game, man. Totally distract stupid guards.
So that does beg the question, what are they exactly going to do with that?
Who knows?
It could be something as simple as like, in the Galaxy games, when I remember them announcing that there was going to be multiplayer.
You can pick up star bits.
Right, which to me is not really multiplayer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It kind of is. It's great for your girlfriend. I mean, no offense. It's great. I shouldn't say your girlfriend. It's great for a non-gamer to sit down and be able to pick up star bits for you while you play, because there's definitely girlfriends that play video games. Let's not kid ourselves here.
They should have features like that in every game, like in StarCraft or something. You should be able to do something.
My fiance, when we play StarCraft, she just yells at me to make more pylons and more probes, which is actually really helpful because those are the things that I forget to do. So she's just like, make more pylons, build more probes, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I have I'm at max supply. We don't need any more. It's all good.
And then you lose some pylons and get supply blocks again.
And then she's like, I told you.
The whole time, right.
I'm like, okay. So, yeah, I guess there's going to be multiplayer. But the other Zelda announcement, which I thought was equally exciting, is that they're going to remake Wind Waker in HD for the Wii U. So it's not just like upscaled, we're putting this in 1080p, and it's actually, they've redone all the textures for the game and added completely new lighting systems for the game. So if you go and look at some of the screenshots, and this is the only one they actually showed gameplay footage from, it actually looks like a much more modern game. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of Wind Waker, is that those graphics, they hold up over time because it's cell shaded, and so it doesn't look like an old game. Even if you play it on the GameCube now, it doesn't actually look like an old game. So they're going to update Wind Waker for the Wii U, and that's actually coming out this fall. So that's not even coming soon. That's coming this fall. So that's really excited.
I feel like the Zelda games too could have a lot of potential in using that controller to do a lot of really cool stuff.
I mean, the Skyward Sword, which I thought was a fantastic game, had a really easy way to switch between items, and that really changed the flow of the game, because if you could switch between items really fast, it changes kind of the way that you can go through dungeons and the way that you can jump around and do kind of all these different things. And now with the Wii U controller, you're able to just tap on the screen to change items and change weapons, and that's going to really change the ebb and flow of the game, just like the Wii Skyward Sword did.
Even I picture being able to walk around on the screen and be looking down at my map at the same time.
Oh, right. Yeah, having a full map instead of a little neutered map in the corner.
Right, exactly.
Could make a big difference. Now, I hope that they actually do something more than that, because I want to see innovation. I want to see new ideas.
Yeah, I agree.
But even just if they just do the bare bones basics and play it a little safe, it'll be awesome. And I think they actually are going to update Wind Waker with the touchpad functionality.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's, thankfully, you can leave all the safe ideas to me. That's actually my middle name is safe. Yeah, really.
I thought your middle name was Colombian. Is that not?
It's short for
safe. Is short. Oh,
yeah.
Colombian is short for safe.
Yes.
I should have known that. I don't know why I didn't figure that out.
It's Spanish. They do things differently.
I gotcha. So I think that was all the big Nintendo announcements. I think they talked about their like Miiverse social network thing coming to the Nintendo 3DS and actually to iOS and yeah. So they're going to have like I'm not sure if it's iOS or if it's Android. I assume it's going to be both. But they're going to have a way to access those social networks directly on your mobile device. So that's a step in the right direction for Nintendo. They released the Pokédex app for the iOS device, which was kind of a surprise to. Dude, you should not smoke. Wow. This is a bad influence on kids.
Don't judge him.
Well, he's
hanging out in a bar.
Slicing people's heads off is one thing, but smoking?
Oh, God.
Come
the
on.
nerve of some people.
Yeah.
You know, what I think is actually really underused in apps like that is the integration between apps and, console or even PC games. I've thought about for a long time.
Xbox has a smart glass app.
Right, but think about then if you were able to take that a step further and say, okay, like not only am I just controlling the menu functions of my Xbox and stuff like that, but I could actually play a mini game on my phone that would like affect my progress in
They kind of did that with Halo 4. There was like a little bit of like smart glass, like while you're playing the game, it gives you additional information. You can do things on the touchscreen while you're playing.
I've never seen that. That's cool.
It's the thing about it is like with the Wii U, that's your controller, so you're holding it. But with the Xbox, you have to put down your controller and pick up another device. And I feel like they should have realized that's not something people are really going to want to do. But yeah, I mean, I used it for like a second to check it out, and then I never picked it up again. The only thing I ever use Smart Glass, the app on my phone or on my tablet for, is adding friends when I'm not at my Xbox. If I meet someone, I'm like, hey, you have an Xbox? Yeah, I can just like pop in their gamer tag and be their friend without going home and writing it down or whatever.
That's probably one of the main functions that I use too, but I feel like there's so much potential there too, and with next gen, I feel like it's probably when they're going to start integrating more that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's when we could definitely see it. Even like, imagine being able to modify your controller in game with your phone or whatever other device, like being able to use hardware that is made by another company, like just being able to write software for it is a huge benefit that they have. I mean, there's so much powerful hardware out there. Right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, Nintendo may continue to have success with their hardware, and I hope that they do. But it's at some point they may have to make a decision and actually switch from a hardware company to a software company. If they do that, obviously there's a whole bunch of great hardware out there, and they could put out Mario on Xbox and PS3 and really kind of transition into a really successful software company too.
Right. I think though, at least right now, this kind of news is exactly what Nintendo needed to happen.
Yeah, because
right
people aren't excited about the Wii U. I mean, they just weren't. And between the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS, 3DS is great. I actually just bought myself a 3DS XL last week.
Wow.
And it's fantastic. It's just a great handheld console. But the only reason I bought that is because they announced Pokemon X and Y, because I think those games are going to be great. And this is just if you guys are watching, this is where we're going to start getting my special what's it called? Blink powers. So you can actually blink across the environment, and this is really what changes the game. So this really sets this game apart from I fell off the cliff. But this sets this game apart from a lot of other stealth games because being able to blink around creates a much easier or just a much more interesting environment in which to play the game, I think.
That also, what's cool about that is it also totally changes the way that the pathing works and everything like that, because you can
because you can make like totally vertical levels and do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, that's true too for level design and things like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
this is definitely. It's a really, really well-made game. If you guys get a chance, you should totally play this.
Yeah, don't jump off cliffs though, because that doesn't work out so well. Hey, yeah, there's a floating whale. Don't worry about that.
It's just doing its thing.
Don't worry about the floating whale. Sometimes whales float. It's cool.
I won't judge it.
No. That whale did nothing to you, Joe.
It's what it didn't do that I'm actually angry about.
I love this about this. So if you see those arrows as you're trying to blink, it'll actually like vault you up onto that ledge.
That's really
so you
smart.
don't actually need to aim up onto the actual ledge itself. You can aim on the edge of it, and it'll like vault you up to it, which is kind of cool. I think it works well.
Do they explain how you gain these powers?
They probably do, but
Okay.
Again, I was not super enthralled by the story. The gameplay is really what stuck me in here. Like this guy, like Donnie Darko, has something to do with it, I guess, and I don't really know. I'm going to skip this because, yeah. And you also pick up these runes, and the runes have something to do with it too. And you hold this heart in your hand, and as you hold the heart in your hand, it beats faster as you get closer to the runes.
It's like a telltale heart.
Yeah, I think that's actually what it's called.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, they made a good choice in calling it.
Yeah, makes sense. All
That's
right.
really sweet.
Yeah, and the runes are actually this is like your currency for leveling up.
Are you walking now? It's like the side of a building. Oh my god!
I'm in some like dream world right now, so it's very weird. This only happens once or twice in the game where you actually get to like be in this dream world kind of thing. But
what's the world for Zen from
Zen from Half-Life,
right?
At the end of Half-Life, the piece that was totally cut out of Black Mesa.
Yeah,
It's kind of like this. Yeah, it's more alien, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're fighting giant
weird babies, and
testicles and things like that.
Oh, the testicle rhino. Holy crap.
Testicle rhino.
Dude, I had such a hard time beating testicle rhino in Half-Life. That was so hard. Me and my friend, oh my god, me and Whitney, we played that, and we could not beat testicle rhino. He was really good at Half-Life. He was the one that showed that to me, and we could not kill testicle rhino. But we eventually...
Oh, I thought you meant testicle rhino was really good at Half-Life, which I guess is true, too.
It's true. It is true. Oh, so this is the powers screen.
Yeah, nice.
So this is where you can pick your powers, and these are passive upgrades on the bottom, and these are active upgrades on the top. So dark vision is what gives you the ability to like see through walls. Blink is your blink power, which you talked about. Possession lets you possess other people and animals and use them to... You can walk a dude into a corner and then run up behind him and stab him. Bend time slows down time. You've got the rat devouring swarm power where you can summon rats, and then wind blast is like a cyclone attack. So I'm going to choose dark vision because I just think that is very, very helpful. And yeah.
And so are all of those powers... That's interesting that they can like let you see everything that's available right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Because a lot of games don't let you do that. And this is...
This is like the hub world.
Nice.
It's like your little home base between missions.
Not the pub world by any chance?
Wow.
I'm really grasping
Joe just got fired from experience points. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, as my last show as co-host, I'd like to say thanks for all the great times.
Yeah. All right, what else we got? We talked about Nintendo. We talked about Dishonored.
We talked about Cyberpunk and all of our cool dystopian future games that we're looking forward to, as well as everything from Nintendo. That was, I think everything that we wanted to put across here today.
Was that it? I thought there was one more thing. Oh, we talked about THQ?
Yeah. Well, no.
We didn't talk about THQ.
So that's our little kind of secret for the end then. Yeah,
okay.
let's do it.
Yeah.
So THQ, like we were saying earlier, has actually sold off quite a bit of its IP.
So THQ had some very serious financial problems.
Yes, extremely.
In the last year. I think they owed a lot of people a lot of money. And essentially what they decided to do was auction off all of their intellectual properties so that they could, pay for pay their debtors. And so today was the day that they decided to auction everything off. So what happened with that, Joe?
Yeah, so basically, it kind of has some significance for some of the series that you may know and love. The main ones that have now found a home at this point are Relic, which is the developer of basically all of the Warhammer games. If you've ever played any Warhammer RTS, they make those.
I never did.
They're pretty cool.
But I believe you.
I love
that happened and that they exist.
Yeah, it's they make some super cool games because the Warhammer series is very much, especially like Warhammer 40,000, is like just this really gritty world, and everything is sort of like falling apart or breaking down, and there's, I don't know, just a lot of really cool stuff that happens between all the races, and all the units are really interesting. So it's a cool world to make an RTS for. So hopefully they'll be continuing to do that under Sega, who bought the rights for
Sega.
Relic. I hope that now all Warhammer games can start with that, which probably will. With that, we also had some movement of the publisher, and I guess rather the developer of the Saints Row franchise, Volition, has been bought out by the game publisher Deep Silver, who is known for having published the Dead Island series most recently.
I did not play Dead Island.
And neither have I. I know you're not really into the kind of... Are you into zombie games?
Well,
I mean, do you draw the line?
I really like Left 4 Dead.
Okay, all right.
But I didn't... I mean, I thought Dead Island was kind of like a first-person RPG zombie game, from what I understand.
Right, but it was... I think the big selling point, it was almost like that combined with Far Cry. You know,
okay.
So you could just
There's
wander
like an open
around.
world kind of thing.
Right, and then I think... Also, what was the other zombie game with the guy who just takes pictures on his camera?
Dead Rising.
Right, exactly. That I think it also has some Dead Rising aspects where you can combine items to make like ridiculous weapons and things like
cool.
that. So,
I don't think I'll ever play it, but it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. It has some cool mechanics. So hopefully, they've been actually releasing a lot of DLC for their game over the last few months, and that's actually been doing really well. It sold a bunch of copies, and yeah, I was happy to hear that. I know that, a lot of companies right now don't want to move into these new intellectual properties because they're riskier.
Right, because Call of Duty is going to sell. We know Call of Duty and Halo are going to sell.
Oh, man.
So why take a risk on Metro 2012 or Darksiders when Halo's or Call of Duty or, whatever it is, Assassin's Creed is going to sell?
I'm really wondering if that... Did they have we heard any announcement about the next Call of Duty? Because there has to be one this year. I mean, there's one every year.
What is it, 2013 now? No, I don't think we've heard of it. But I think, I don't even... You know what? I can't say anything about it because I don't know anything about Call of Duty. Literally next to nothing.
Well, you know that there will be a game, and then
I know that there's
guns,
and it's military-based, and I know that every time I've tried to play it, I've lost miserably, and I just never could wrap my head around the appeal, but... A lot of people really love that game.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I actually got to try out Black Ops 2 for the first time just the other day.
Oh, really?
And, I got to play a bit online where I basically just got owned. And I'm not terrible at Call of Duty, I will say that. But I did definitely get owned.
You're like a FPS. That's like your...
Oh, yeah, that's where
that's like
I
when
make
it comes
my
to
home.
Consoles, right? That's like your thing.
Yeah,
I
definitely...
I guess even on the PC,
even
that's
on the
kind of
PC.
like your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But... The newest developments kind of in the THQ story is, of course, that there are still some games, and even, of course, games like South Park, which hasn't come out yet. South Park, The Stick of Truth, is a game that I believe is going to be coming out later this year. They were purchased, or at least the rights to them were purchased by Ubisoft. So hopefully that doesn't actually change anything about the game itself, because I've actually been really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, weirdly, it seems like that's going to be one of the better RPGs of the year is the South Park Stick of Truth game.
Right. I think that the fact that they've focused on making it as similar to... just watching an episode of the show as they possibly could. I think that was a great move, artistically and just for storytelling. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be really cool, and I really hope that it does live up to the hype. I believe that it will.
Yeah, I think it will too. I don't think Matt Stone and Trey Parker would let anything go out the door that wasn't great. Although, that being said, I don't know if anyone played the N64 South Park game.
Oh my god,
I call that game Fog of Doom, Fog of South Park, because it was basically you're just looking at, the Nintendo 64 graphic powers were not super powerful, so it was you really couldn't see very far. You probably see 5 feet in front of your character.
Yeah, it was a pretty deplorable thing, and all of the guns were ridiculous.
Yeah,
stuff.
you're throwing snowballs or like shooting turkey poop out of it.
It was, I think, pea-covered snowballs. You could throw pea-covered snowballs. There was that chicken. There was like a chicken gun where you would like grab the tail of the chicken and it would shoot eggs out of the chicken from wherever those come from. I don't know.
Oh, I totally got detected.
Oh, wow. Nice parry.
Yeah. It's all right.
But yeah, that game was pretty deplorable, I would have to agree. So, but I think they've really gone through the trouble of actually, making this the best game they possibly could. I think probably that game was designed just to sell whatever copies they could make.
Right, because it was like kind of in a different era for South Park too.
Right.
Back when South Park was like less of a
social commentary.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Jinxie, and more of like just like a weird like little kids swearing was kind of the appeal of it at that point.
Right, just the shock value.
Right.
Yep. So it's come a long way since then, and I think that we can say the same about the game franchise for South Park as well. So it has a lot of potential. But they were bought out by Ubisoft, so hopefully Ubisoft doesn't do any crazy DRM things that
I think Ubisoft's learned their lesson when it comes to that. Seriously, like they got so much crap for all the DRM that they put on everything that they do, and I think they've really kind of done a good job of turning that whole thing around.
Yeah, one can hope that history doesn't repeat itself, but then again...
Yeah, again, who knows? Because it's usually like old white guys in suits that control these things, and not anyone that actually knows anything about gaming.
Right, I feel like that's kind of what I like, or sort of what the appeal is of sort of these younger developers and development houses, is that they have an understanding, usually a better understanding of, what people actually want. Even just independent developers like Notch, and people like that. What's their... Mojang, thank you.
Mojang.
They seem to have a really good grasp on what people are actually trying to do in their games and what they want to get out of them. So they're more in tune with that. But I think that we're starting to get away from that traditional view of like, hey, old white guys rule the world.
Right,
but
because
it's still
with
the
things
case.
like Kickstarter and all that junk, I mean, it really changes kind of like the battlefield as far as marketing goes.
Right. So
for sure,
the final kind of IPs that we haven't really found any home for yet, at least as far as
sad.
Yeah, I know it is definitely once I name them here. Darksiders being one of the major ones.
Darksiders is really good.
Yes.
I mean, if anyone has not played that game, Darksiders, both the first one and the second one, and they're actually extremely different from one another. Surprisingly, they are both really good games, and it's sad to see. It would be really sad to see that IP just kind of be stopped dead in its tracks. I don't think that's what will happen, but
right, for no reason other than the fact that they just couldn't get their stuff together.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't use, a lot of themes and elements that exist, even just mechanics that it's pulled from other games. I feel like that's one of the major appeals, right?
I think like the first Darksiders game was definitely like that was the idea. I think it was like a tribute to Zelda and like a tribute to the games that the developers really loved. But the second one was more of like an action RPG, and it kind of forged its own identity because it was full of like great like God of War style combat, but even not even different than that. But also with a lot of like Diablo looting elements, and
right.
I don't know. It's really good. It's really good.
So
it's not nearly as derivative as the first one,
right? But I think at least even the fact that it was like they intended to pay homage to all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, which is cool. I think that has something to be said. Like when you can do what other games do and combine features really well, like Darksiders did, that's very cool to see. So yes, if you do get a chance, go and play it. You played it on what system?
I just want to point out, I got through that whole area, did not get caught by anybody, and nobody even saw me do it. I'm just very excited about that.
That's well done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, except for that one guy at the very beginning, but he's dead, so.
Yeah, he won't
He's not going to tell anybody.
You won't live to see that. Is he going to wake up? Did you just put him to sleep temporarily?
Yeah, you put people to sleep, but they don't wake up, so I don't really understand. I mean, it's just basically you press a different button, and somehow that doesn't kill them.
That's how it works in real life.
Right. I'm gonna choke this guy out right now. Right?
Just a little bit. So the last game that didn't or hasn't found a home yet, as of this writing, if you will, is Metro Last Light. Now, of course, Metro 2033, which came out, I believe it was last year, even a couple of years ago. I was able to pick that up on Steam not too long ago, but I actually haven't played it. I've just heard great stuff about it all around. They say that it does a really good job of, kind of making you feel like you're in that environment where it's this sort of post-apocalyptic world. There's not a lot of bullets or ammo or guns, so you have to conserve a lot of your
Metro
resources.
Last Light?
Yeah, and then Metro 2033 being kind of the first game of that series.
Those are separate games. I never played them.
Yeah.
Did you played them?
I haven't actually, but that's sort of the situation that you end up in when there's 1,000 Steam sales a year,
right?
And you want to own every game,
right?
Yeah. And then when are you actually going to get to play them? So eventually, I will. But from everything that I've read about it, it was reviewed pretty well. I know that there were some issues with, I guess, some mechanics of the game. I can't even remember specifically, but overall, my understanding is that they did a pretty solid job with that game. So I would check that out too if you get a chance. And hopefully we'll be seeing more of that if they're able to find a home, like we were saying, with one of these other publishers.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You never know when it comes to business and stuff like that. People their motivations are always very veiled.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see this happen, especially, I feel like, to such a big company like THQ. I mean, they've been around for a really long time, and they've released a lot of cool games under the THQ name. Especially more recently, all the stuff that we've been talking about, like Saints Row, and even things beyond that, like Company of Heroes and stuff like that, which was a really great series. But even prior to that, I'm trying to think I think all of the Red Faction games.
Oh, really? That was them too?
I think so. Yeah, I want to say. Although I'm gonna check my facts. I'm gonna do a quick fact check. That's kind of the beauty of the internet. So, oh wow, this list is actually ridiculous. The number of games that have been published under THQ is insane. I mean, it's like hundreds here.
Man, it's funny. I killed this dude, and now all these dudes just discovered his dead body, and. Oh, no. So the difference between unconscious and killed is that if they're unconscious, they can be woken up by other guards.
Oh, so that's how they get woken up.
Yeah, they can actually be revived. But it doesn't matter because I snuck past them, and now I'm going to go and kill this religious zealot leader, which is actually one of my favorite things to do, is kill religious zealots.
In the game, right?
Oh,
that's
right.
What you're...
In the game.
Ooh, okay. Good. Just checking. I was looking in here. The main thing that stand out in this list, and it's kind of funny to see because there's a lot of like Game Boy Advance games and stuff like that I don't know if anybody has ever even actually played or bought.
Game Boy Advance? I played Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, but there's some of the most obscure games in this list that I've ever seen. Like It's Mr. Pants.
What is that?
Have you ever heard of It's Mr. Pants?
Of course, it's my favorite game.
It's Mr. Pants was originally called Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers.
Which is another great title for a game.
Absolutely. And I literally have no idea about this game. I just clicked on it here while I was looking at the list of games that THQ has published, which is hundreds. It looks like, it was a Game Boy Advance game released in 2005. I guess there was a phone version that was canceled. It looks like it stars Mr. Pants.
Of course.
Who is a poorly drawn stick figure. And the basic idea of the game was that you would create these rectangles that had to be like a certain number of blocks by a certain number of blocks. And you would kind of set them around in different shapes to solve puzzles. So it was like a shape puzzle game. And this is weird. This is bizarre. So like that.
Okay.
You know, so of course,
so
classics.
THQ had a lot of failures.
Yeah, I mean,
under their belts.
Yeah, it's a lot of really weird stuff in here. Yeah, I guess when you kind of look back on it, maybe we see kind of why that didn't work out exactly. Maybe. You know, but certainly taking a risk on a lot of that stuff is cool, you know. So that's why I respect companies like THQ who probably took tons of risks on releasing games like this, like It's Mr. Pants.
It's Mr. Pants.
Barely even got made. But they did have a lot of other good games, of course, like the entire Saints Row series, and like we were talking about before, you know, the Darksiders series, the De Blob games, and Destroy All Humans.
I gotta say, De Blob, awesome game, so good. Seriously.
So what about it do you love so much?
It's a game where you paint awesome, cool stuff. You paint structures, and then as you paint the structures, it adds instruments to the music that you're hearing around the place. Which is, I just think that is so cool. The way that they set up the music in that game, like that game blew me away. I was a member of GameFly for a minute. And while I was a member of GameFly, oh shoot, oh my gosh, wow,
nice.
that was so close. I'm sorry that I stopped talking. But while I was a member of GameFly, I played De Blob and I absolutely loved it.
So they actually released that in a disc format?
Oh yeah,
that's cool. I guess I was always under the impression that it was like an XBLA only.
No. De Blob 1 was Wii exclusive.
Oh, okay.
And then De Blob 2 was for all... It was for PS3, it was for Wii, it was for Xbox 360.
Oh, cool.
And they were both really, really good.
Wow.
I'm sorry that I'm so terrible at stealthing this game, but I actually am doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So
no,
far.
You're doing great. With them, I mean, with this developer, or rather publisher, going away, what I think is cool about this is that there may actually be some major changes. I mean, there's the potential to have a lot of major changes to these franchises that have set up sort of fixed methods about what they do. They may actually force them to kind of innovate and change. You know, I know it kind of can always go both ways in that they could make changes that just make these series terrible or never release any more games under the series. But I think that it's a good thing for innovation. I mean, I'm a really big fan of just change, you know, overall. If we're changing stuff up, it just has potential to be a lot better, you know, as opposed to just leaving it the same.
Yeah.
So this...
Absolutely.
So THQ, you know, we're sad to see them go. They made a lot of really cool games while they were around. And hopefully those folks can, you know, find some jobs pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know IGN was tweeting all day to try to help the people who had been fired from THQ or whatever to help to get them jobs. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's pretty much it for this episode of Experience Points. So thank you for listening once again. My name is Michael Winters.
My name is Joe Edelsack.
And you've been listening to Experience Points. Thank you.